Dear scholars, in this video I will discuss about clinical studies. Please note that the clinical studies are done at the third stage of the drug development process. Very first stage of drug development process is drug discovery, then preclinical studies. Afterward, investigational new drug application is submitted to FDA. If licensing authority approve the IND application, clinical studies take place. Phase 0 clinical studies. Please note that the phase 0 is not mandatory by the FDA, but researchers and pharmaceutical companies perform these studies in order to save money. We all know that clinical studies phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 take too many years to complete and involve huge cost. I just want to inform you that phase 1 studies perform to check safety and dose, not efficacy. It is only phase 2 studies wherein efficacy of new drug is determined. So it will take too much time and money. That's why phase 0 comes in rescue. Here I have listed some very important facts about phase 0 trial. In phase 0 trial, microdosing is used. Microdosing in the sense that very small fraction of the dose. It is less than 100 microgram or 100 part of the pharmacologically active dose. Basically, phase 0 studies is responsible to check if new drug or treatment reaches to a specific portion of the body like cancer cells or tissue and bind with the targeted receptors. For that purpose, radioligands are used. A radioligand is nothing but a ligand that is radio labeled and that is used for several types of diagnosis or for search oriented studies. The main objectives of the phase 0 trial are to evaluate the distribution, binding property and target effect of the new drug. Clinical studies phase 1. The main objectives of phase 1 studies are to determine safety, dosage range and route of administration. The very important points about phase 1 trial are listed on the screen. Number of participants in phase 1 trial are about 20 to 100 healthy volunteers, and purpose of phase 1 trials are to determine safety and dosage range. Success rate of this trial more than 50% and up to 70%. But so far the studies are performed on animals and we do not know about the dose. For that purpose we have formula to calculate human equivalent dose. Here is important table to convert animal dose in human equivalent dose. Once a human equivalent dose range is determined, the phase 1 trial is started. Say the dose range found to be safe in human is 30 mg to 300 mg. The minimum effective dose is 30 mg and maximum tolerable dose is 300 mg. Types of phase 1 studies: single ascending dose, multiple ascending dose and food effects are studies in phase 1 trial. On the screen you can see a table of single ascending dose study wherein 5 groups of subjects selected and the first cohort group is given 30 mg of initial dose. Afterward, all the parameters like blood test, ECG, plasma drug level, urine test, LFT, KFT, etc. have been checked to determine safety and safe dose of treatment. The single ascending dose test is continued until the maximum tolerable dose is determined. Multiple ascending dose. Groups of subjects are given low doses of the drug and observed for a certain period of time. Periodically, their blood tests, ECG, plasma drug level, urine tests, LFT, KFT, etc. have been tested to determine safety and dose of new drug. Phase 1 study is also evaluate the bioavailability and food effect of new drug. The new drug is given empty stomach and post-meal. Afterward, bioavailability of drug is calculated in both cases. Phase 2 trials. The phase 2 trial is also known as exploratory studies. In phase 2 trials, about 100 to 300 people with disease conditions are participated. and purpose of phase 2 trial is to determine efficacy and side effect. The success rate of phase 2 trials is about 30%. Phase 2 trial begins if phase 1 trials do not show any unacceptable toxicity. It is continue evaluate the safety and short-term side effects. Phase 2 studies are unicentric. Unicentric means studies performed in single hospital. The primary objective of phase 2 trial is to determine efficacy, and the secondary objective of phase 2 trial is to reassure dose level and dosing frequency. Dose level means how many milligrams of new drug to be given, whereas dosing frequency means whether it should be given single dose in a day or twice a day or thrice a day. In phase 2 studies, subjects picked randomly. There are few very important terms you must know, like experimental drug, standard treatment, placebo. Here experimental drug means new drug for which study is going on, and standard treatment means available treatment for that particular disease. And placebo means similar to the drug but that treatment don't have active ingredient. There is another very important term, blinding. Blinding categorized into three groups. First one is unblinding or open label. Second one is single blinding or single masking. And third one is double blinding or double masking. In unblinded or open label, both participants and investigators are aware about the treatment. In single blind or single masking, only participants are blinded. Whereas in double blind or double masking, the participants and investigators both are blinded. In single blinding, subjects or patients do not know about the treatment, whether they are taking placebo or real medicine. Whereas in double blinding, doctors and subjects both are unaware about the treatment. Types of phase 2 studies. The phase 2 studies are categorized into two groups, phase 2A and phase 2B. Phase 2A study is also known as finding dose range, means it determines the optimal dose, whereas phase 2B study is known as proof of concept. It determines efficacy of new drug. On the screen you can see an example of study design for phase 2 trial. The phase 3 clinical studies is also known as confirmatory studies, wherein about 300 to 5,000 volunteers involved in. The length of phase 3 studies is 1 to 4 years, and purpose of phase 3 studies to reconfirm efficacy and monitoring adverse reactions. The success rate of phase 3 trial is about 30%. Some key points about phase 3 studies. Having said that, phase 3 studies is confirmatory studies. So it reassure efficacy and safety of the new drug. It is a type of randomized, controlled and multicentric studies. Multicentric studies means it takes place in multiple hospitals, wherein up to 5,000 patients can be involved. It compares the new treatment to the standard treatment. Here are some detailed points about phase 3 trial. You can note down for long answer question. New drug application. While phase 3 studies are progressed toward end, pharmaceutical company or sponsor start to preparing new drug application to submit FDA for approval. The main goals of new drug application: to provide information to FDA team to establish the complete history of new drug, patent and manufacturing information, drug safety and specific effectiveness of proposed use of new drug, reports on design, compliance, conclusion, etc., proposed labeling and packaging. On the screen you can see the new drug application review timeline by FDA. Once FDA approved the new drug application, the manufacturer or the pharmaceutical company have license or authority to bring new drug into the market for use, and the post-marketing survey also started. Thank you so much for watching.